Press is officially freshly pressed on air. We've got some interesting stories for you today. All right, and we are live in six, five. Oh, I've missed the counting. And we're live. Smooth 98.1. It is gone past 7:30 for a Tuesday morning. This is Freshly Pressed on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Shopper Martins.
And I'm Victor Pepple. We're taking you through some of the biggest stories making the rounds in Nigeria at the moment. We have our guest in the studio this morning.
Yes. Justin Ije and Wade Ahime. Good morning and good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Lagos.
All right. And of course, we've got you too. So do make sure you send your WhatsApp messages in 20809 981. You can also use the hashtag freshlypressed981 on Twitter. And of course, we are streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. You can leave your comments up on that live stream. All right, so we've got a number of stories to bring to you today for analysis. And I'm going to ask you to jump in on the first story, which comes in from the Guardian newspaper. Bandits kill 78 people or persons in Plateau. Now, to be honest, the numbers have still not yet been confirmed. We're getting different numbers, even if it's just by a few, of people, of those who have been affected, those who have been killed. We're not quite sure even the numbers of buildings that have been razed. But what we do know, the bandits attacked 7 Kanam communities, Kanam local government area of Plateau. This was on Sunday. Now, what I'm going to ask you, Wadi, is what is your reaction to this very, very horrific event, especially in light of the comments that were made by the House member Yusuf Gagdi, who represents Pangshim Kanam in Pangchim Kanam Kanke in the House of Representatives, and he said that this is happening despite intelligence reports by the Department of State Security of the influx of bandits that had already been made known over 9 months before the attack was carried out. What would you say?
First, my condolences to the family of those who lost their lives. It's become a it's become a it's become the norm now. Every day we're reporting the number of people who are killed by bandits or terrorists, which however you want to call them. And it's strange that based on the what the member of the House of Reps said, you have 9 months intelligence. This is the second person telling us that they have enough intelligence about these bandits, and it's still happening. And every time it happens, what we do, the governor through his director of public, came out with the statement condemning it and asking that they should go after the terrorists. After one, they've killed 78 people. It could be more because we're not sure of the exact number. We don't even know how many houses were burnt, and we're continually hearing this. This is an election year, and we've been doing this. And what do we expect as we go into the election proper, with the primaries coming, with those who are going to start campaigning and so on? It's just sad that we have to go through this, and every week there's no week we come on air.
It's almost on a daily basis at this point.
There's no week.
Now, considering the fact that when it comes to security, when it comes to military, all roads seem to lead to the center, what would you say about the rationale behind the fact that we keep hearing about data and intelligence that's been gathered, and yet no action seems to be taken on that intelligence gathered?
So for me, my own opinion, there are two things. One, it's either those who have the information are compromised, and if they are compromised, then there's really nothing we can do. Or the second part is, yes, they have the data, they have the information, they don't have the manpower to deal with a number of those things. Like, the army is stretched all over the country. So each time you have intelligence and then it comes to you, how many people are available to actually, provide this security? Many times what you hear is after the attack that the security operatives came in. So really for me, it just goes to show you what has happened over the last 5-6 years of this administration, where nobody cares about security anymore.
It's quite interesting, Wade mentioning the issue of the army being stretched, especially as we've seen the conversation then kind of pivoting to talking about the uses of the military and whether actually the army that we do have right now is being stretched past its mandate, and what to do with the other security agencies when it comes to what is going on in our different geopolitical zones. But we do have to move on now to more stories. And remember, keep sending your messages in so that we can have your take on the topics at hand.
Now let's get over to the Punch newspaper. Train attack. Terrorist demand detained 16 commanders exchange for over 100 abductees. Let's take a look at the story. Bandits who attacked the Kaduna Abuja train are demanding release of 16 top commanders and sponsors in government custody in exchange for the release of over 100 individuals abducted from the derailed train on March 28. Well, dependable security sources told newsmen that the bandits carried out the violent attack on the train just to abduct passengers who could be used to bargain for the release of their commanders and sponsors in detention. Uh, this story has been, trending since the 28th of March. In fact, there were reports of a particular MD that was abducted and was released after, quote unquote, or some funds were paid to secure his release. What do you make of this?
Well, um, it's begun. It started to sound a bit cliche to even express condolence. That's what everybody is doing. And for me, yet another level of normalization of the absurd.
Okay.
Um, this story, I mean, closely linked to the one that Wadi just discussed. The abductors of the people and the bombers of the train are saying they want to do a prisoner swap. Now, this is something you always see since the global war on terror started. This is something you always see begin to unfold when sovereign authorities have apprehended people who are part of the terror cells or terror groups. Some of these groups then go ahead to perpetrate other acts of terror, kidnap people, and then they start demanding prisoner swaps. So in this case, we're seeing in this story that there are 16 people that the Nigerian government apparently has in custody. 16 people who are sponsors and operatives of these terror groups, and they've been arrested. They are supposed to be these 16 individuals are supposedly ranking operatives of whichever of these terror groups has done this, and now they are asking for the release of those people to them in exchange for some of the prisoners, or some of the people that were kidnapped. And it just begs the question of how serious we are with this. Sometimes as I was listening to us talk about the earlier story, I was thinking to myself, these are we are not in conflict with a standing army. We are in conflict with groups, right? I don't want to call them ragtag because there's obviously a high level of sophistication, but still, we are talking about a sovereign state with the full strength of a standing military. Yeah, we like to say we are stretched. We are stretched. We have a standing army that is funded from national coffers. The national security spending has increased about 1,000% over the past it's about 10 years. And here we are flailing in response to disparate attacks by relatively scattered groups of
But
What,
Justin,
armed men.
what some would say in response to that is it about the military might or is it about the intelligence behind on that would then direct how to use that military apparatus that you have?
I think that the conversation expands beyond that. We
Okay.
can't ignore the concept of what is a war. There's something called a war economy. Whenever you
Yes,
find
true.
conflicts, people are benefiting from this. So when you think about the security spending that has happened, and you compare it to the results, you begin to ask yourself, what exactly is going on? Where's the money going? What is the money being used for? Are we using the money to buy armament? Are we using the money to beef up the security architecture? If we've done that, why is it not working? Right? There's a whole lot going on underneath, and it is really, really frustrating for me at this point.
Now,
We have
Nigerians,
people who were, sorry, we have
okay.
people, 16 people who were arrested. How come we do not know the names of these people? We heard from foreign news sources, I think from the UAE some time ago, that published
About six of them.
news that, oh, they had informed the Nigerian government about people who were funding Boko Haram and stuff like that. We never really got a response from the government. Now we're hearing that there are 16. Who are these 16 people? Where are they being held? Right? And I don't want to start drawing comparisons with other geolocations in the world where things like this happen, because that's also cliche, but this is not normal.
But what Nigerians would like to find out is, are we going to see government make this exchange, release some of these, captured top officials of these said bandits, and then have them also release over 100 people in their custody?
I can only begin to speculate about what's going on in the mind of the government as embodied in the commander in chief, who hasn't said a peep about this particular incident.
Needed a moment of silence for that one. Let's take a look at this article in from the Vanguard newspaper. Creditors owe federal government 5.2 trillion naira. This coming in from the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed. Now, if you think about who the debtors are, this may just surprise you. Now, she said then, and I quote, these debts came to the spotlight from data aggregated from over 5,000 plus debtors across 10 ministries, departments, and agencies. Going on to say that the discovery of the debt owed to the government was made following a 2019 financial circular directing that all the MDAs, as well as federal government-owned enterprises, provide the government's credit portfolio in all such organizations. So, Wade, I'm coming to you for this to get your thoughts.
You know, it's always amazing when each time a minister or someone in charge of an agency or a ministry comes out and tells us it came because of the result of a circular that was issued. What is the work of these people? What do they do? Are they not supposed to provide these reports on a regular basis, on a monthly basis? Who's owing them? What contracts were given out, or what things were they're supposed to provide, and at the end of the day nobody says anything, and then you say, oh, in 2019 you sent out a circular, and just look at how much they've collected in 18 months. 1% of 5.2 trillion is amazing. So these agencies, what have they been doing? We're just paying salaries to people who do nothing and provide no information. Audit, what's the work of the Accountant General's office? What's the work of the Auditor's General office? Because each time we get reports from them, we're talking about reports of 2-3 years ago. Are you with me? That comes to light 2 years after. But this is coming to light. This memo was written in 2019.
And that's 2022.
Exactly. 3 years after, we're beginning to find out.
I'm looking at this and I'm asking myself, who are the 5,000 people owing MDAs 5.2 trillion? I don't know. Are the MDAs microfinance banks? What's the nature of this debt? We've just been told that debts are being owed. But what's the nature of this debt? Are you giving out loans? Is it advances to contractors for work that's not being? What's the nature of this debt? The story doesn't address that anyway. But it begs the question.
Maybe
Considering the fact that
maybe
we've had
there's a
3
report.
years to get this information, you would think
5.2 trillion.
Yes.
5.2 trillion.
And they've only been able to, it's just the last 18 months, they've only been able to collect how much?
53.5 billion
1% of it. So who are these people? Are they contractors that have been paid in advance that have not provided services? Because these are things that when we hear, it beats me, and you start to wonder, what are the leaders doing? What's the minister doing? What's the head of, what the permanent secretary of these agencies, or the directors of the agencies, what are they doing? Is it that they don't file their reports, or they don't see these reports, or they really don't care about these things? Because it beats me every time when I see this kind of thing and they say, oh, some people are owing us. They're owing you 5.2 trillion and we're borrowing every day.
That's interesting.
All right. Yeah, remember we're streaming live on YouTube. You can also go live there, watch, drop a comment. We're also on WhatsApp, 0809-444-981. Now let's look at some of your messages on the WhatsApp portal. This says, good morning. Can you imagine that the terrorists are now asking for prisoner swap if the government has been proactive in eliminating those 16 top terrorist commanders? Would their members now be negotiating for their release? Definitely, this government has sympathy for terrorists. But Tunuga sent in that message. And Dami Mola from Ikorodu Says in July last year, Katala Tuji, the notorious bandit in Zamfara, let loose his men on villagers because the DSS arrested his father. His father was eventually released for relative peace to be restored. There is already an unfortunate precedence for their actions.
This one in D. Baba says corruption is a cancer so endemic it has taken root in the security architecture of the country. The armed forces are corrupt from top to bottom. Going on to say that ineptitude is the order of the day. Okay, thank you so much for your messages. Now we are going to take more of your messages across all platforms: Twitter, YouTube, and WhatsApp right after this break.
Keep listening to Smooth 98.1. Money, they say, makes the world go round. Information, they also say, takes you to where the money is.
Okay, YouTube, I see your messages. We'll be reading them once we get back
At
on.
this rate,
So let's see.
I think I need to take a break from.
No, don't take a break. Can you hear what Wadi is saying?
You took it out. I was about to say, see, this cannot be doing grapevine. This thing is.
Maybe you come and come and join tech and be doing sports.
Do you understand? It's
By the
so
way, number one,
shocking.
it has already made its way into the grapevine. We've been talking about federal government for a little while on the grapevine because of, I can't remember, there were some stories and sports as well. You know, politics and sports are 5 and 6.
Yeah, but I won't be talking about the ones of politics. Tech I can take that one. I will talk about when they play match on Saturday. We come and analyze. We banter.
Okay, let's see. It's sad we've been at this war for years. It seems we haven't learned anything. The terrorists are even learning and evolving more than our military. Ooh. Let's see what Joy has to say.
My name is Adenike.
Wow, that is such a
and
long
you're
pause.
listening to Smooth 98.1. Keep listening.
Smooth 98.1. More of your messages coming in during Freshly Pressed and going over to youtube.com/Smooth 981 FM. Lagos Joseph Olofinkua says, it is very sad that we have been at this war for years and it seems we haven't learned anything. The terrorists seem to be learning and evolving more than our military, and that's a shame. Whilst Joy Uha says they could not rapidly try these people and sentence them to death. I say it regularly and I say it again. If we don't introduce capital punishments for terrorism, we are joking. Whilst Babafemi Anogwestan says, does the Nigerian police have trained officers for undercover missions? Going by the terrorist MO, I can see a lot of undercover moves, and that's how they are able to pounce with big impact. Remember, you can also send messages in using the hashtag FreshlyPress981 on Twitter and tag us at Smooth981FM. Now, going into messages up on WhatsApp, Danny Key just says 5.3 trillion with many exclamation marks behind that.
All right, we also have this one from Ayodele. He says, good morning all, please correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the government reintegrate reformed terrorists into the society? So if these guys are asking for an exchange, that's an indication that the strategy is not working.
And more messages coming in. B from Lucky says, something is wrong with the body language of the presidency when it comes to managing these insurgents. El Rufai seems to be the only politician in the north who's concerned and vocal about this insurgency. Unfortunately, this has made his state a target. We made a mistake allowing the insurgency in the Niger Delta to fester. And Chika says, the news of terrorists demanding 16 commanders exchanged for over 100 kidnapped train passengers is nothing but heartbreaking. The same people's government can't give out their identity. It's even so heartbreaking that over 100 train attacks over 100 of the passengers or of the victims, I'd say, are being held hostage, and the president chooses to go on vacation. The Minister of Transportation was running marathons before and declaring his presidential ambition, and the vice president decided to go and declare for his presidential bid in a studio yesterday. Nigeria under the ADC does not have any regard for life. That's what Chika from Amuo has to say. Let's get into our next story.
All right. From the This Day newspaper, 12 billion naira spent monthly on national homegrown school feeding program, says federal government. Now, the federal government has claimed it is spending about 12 billion naira monthly on the national homegrown school feeding program, which is under the supervision of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. and the National Coordinator, National Social Investments Program, which is run by the ministry, Dr. Umar Binder, made the disclosure at a two-day stakeholders consultative workshop on the development of a national policy for the program in Abuja. In fact, he said this program was launched in 2016 and was cost intensive of over 10 million children. I mean, 10 million children were captured under the scheme, which they were going to give a meal of about 100 naira per day by this administration. Now we're hearing 12 billion naira spent every month on this particular scheme.
Times 12. Times 1.2.
You have finished it.
One,
Why are you looking at me?
1,200 naira per child.
Dr. Umar Binder says they are feeding 10 million children daily, and they are giving those 10 million children 100 naira meals. 100 naira per day. 100 naira. You know you can't buy an egg. One, right? For that amount anymore.
Maybe it's 1,000 naira you wanted.
No. At the time this was initiated, by the calculations in 2016.
It was supposed to be 100. Now it's 1,200 naira per child.
I don't know where people are getting that one from. That's not what we're
12,
saying.
12 billion divided by 10 million is 1,200.
Okay, that makes me feel better slightly. Like Fela said, government magic. I don't know where these 10 million children are, but I'm happy that they are getting fed. May that program achieve its intended objectives. May these children remain nourished, and God bless the federal government for doing this. There is poverty in the land, and people who are sending their kids to school need to know that at least there's an incentive for
the children to go to
school. For the children to go to school, for those who need one outside of the purpose of getting education. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. In Guardian newspaper, now FRSC vows to get motorcycle operators licensed, notwithstanding stiff opposition and apparently at times outright violence. Now, we heard from the sector command of FRSC and Enugu State Command, Mr. Joseph Toby, who said that we will never give up on the issue. We're working with their various unions through lots of enlightenment to see how to persuade them to do this move by the FRSC to get commercial motorcycle operators license in the Southeast. How far do you think it's going to go? I mean, because it does seem to, according to what it says, many issues coming up with the...
This is something that should be standard practice across Nigeria. If you want to operate as a motorcycle operator, it should be. That's why I said.
Yeah.
But it is not. Like I said, there are a number of things that when you look at, in my own opinion, a lot of all these agencies are, to me, they're a bit compromised, and that's one. And then on the other side, when you look at it, the level of poverty that has increased
go back to
Nigeria.
Compromise.
No, let me finish what I was saying. I will go back to the compromise. The level of poverty has also made it very difficult for a lot of people, a lot of all these people to say, okay, I want to go and get a license. How much does it cost? Because this story doesn't tell us how much does it cost to get this license. And you find out that in some states, you will get the federal licenses, you will get a state license, you will get a local government license. By the time we're done, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, just when we did a story on how much it costs to get, I think it was in Lagos, to get some passes. It came to about 12,000 naira for, yes, it's the same Okada riders now registration. Yeah, it came to about 12,000 naira to register with different bodies.
But
that's quite an exorbitant fee.
If poverty was a human being, poverty would be carrying placards on the streets of Nigeria and saying, "You people stop blaming me for everything." Do you understand? We place a lot of things on the altar of it's poverty. This particular phenomenon, I don't think it's an oversimplification to say it's poverty.
Yeah, but like I said just now, when you have to pay, like I said, we did this story, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, where you have to pay like 4-5 different agencies for licenses to ride. then whether in Lagos you get a driver's license normally. Lagos State requires you to get
You
it.
see, there has been an influx from God knows where of, and all of us know this. Let's just address the elephant in the room. We see these people on the road.
We're waiting.
We see these people. There is an influx. It's all over the country. It's not so. This particular story is focusing on what's happening in the east. We see it here in Lagos.
We see it all over. All
You
over.
see these people driving against traffic. They have a particular look. They have a Sahelian look. They are all over the place. They are driving unregistered motorcycles. If the government has chosen to look the other, we don't need to pass any new laws. You are required to register any vehicle of any sort in this country, whether it be a motorbike. I think it's only bicycles that you're not required to have.
No, even a bicycle is
license.
supposed to have.
Okay.
What's it called?
Great, but there's nothing that the government needs to do aside enforce what
it.
existing
And I
regulation
agree
is.
with you.
How are people mounting bikes all over the place? You see crowds, you see them like a swarm of locusts all over the place, all unregistered. That is not poverty. That right there is not poverty.
It's negligence
Oh,
of government.
interesting.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
In
And
implementing.
Why don't you never went back to the compromised
Back to you, Wadi.
bodies? Go ahead. Oh, did you think we were going to skip that? No, we're going back.
No. When I come back to it on agencies being compromised. Like you said, there is a number of these things going on. Agencies being compromised means that you look the other way. Those who stop you on the road, take whatever they decide they want to do. Arrests are not being done. Implementation of
And
the
also
law.
having ownership of some of these vehicles.
Well,
No?
I can't speak to that, possibly. But the fact of the matter remains this: is the law being enforced? No, it's not. So whether you say, oh, it's going to lead to violence or because of violence, when you enforce the law and you enforce it in the right manner, then everybody will comply with the law.
All
Or
right.
should comply with the law.
Okay, to end the show, we're going to take more of your messages up on WhatsApp. EK says, guys, the maths of the school feeding program does not add up. 1,200 naira per month per child. We're talking about 40 naira per day.
And they,
Whilst Yemi from Marina says, hard to tell if Justin was being sarcastic about the school feeding program. This I can tell you for free. The whole program and the monthly transfer to be commenced reeks of intense corruption. God bless Nigeria. Whilst MI says, from Akoka says, 12 billion naira per month, data, 144 billion naira per year, and nobody is lying. This isn't just granted theft auto, it's impunity of the highest order. Even food for thought can't be this expensive, says MI. MI, we need to break it down. And
for you, MI.
we have this one in from Tosan who says, oh, wait, haven't I read something about... Oh, well, Tosan says the presidency's body language shows they don't know what to do about insecurity, but this is a different message, apparently. Capital punishment. Oh, wait, no, I've read this
you
already.
read that? Where we heard that?
Comes up again somehow. All right, and that is that. Do make sure you join our analysts on Twitter, and of course us as well. We are at Smooth981FM. You can find our analysts at Justin EJ and at Wade _Ahime_. I got it right. Yes, that underscore always trips me up. And of course, you can make sure you can go and watch the replay up on youtube.com/Smooth981FM. Lagos coming up 8:15. It is the Grapevine.
Nairametrics. Creating wealth through information.
Why do you have that? Your underscore.